Question. What were these new industrial cities like?
AT2, cross-check, interpretation.
There's no one view of the past.
Gallery's a bit full, isn't it?
Heaving. So where do you want to start?
I don't know.
Data to Visor.
Where are the fields of yesteryear? Swallowed up, engulfed by a glut of brick and mortar. Where once were hedgerows, stand street upon street. Where once glades of oak, foul factory gates. These are the walking cities. There's no tube, no bus, no cars. You want to work, you've got to live close, jostle for space. Men, women, children, livestock, all hug-a-mug and cozy in these overcrowded urban slums. And don't forget your nose plugs, folks. The stench is awful. And diseases, well, take your pick. There's typhus, TB, smallpox, diphtheria, cholera.
Come on, it can't have been that bad. This is just your view, right?
It's an interpretation, yes. But it's impossible to know exactly what things were really like in the past, so anything anybody says is just their view.
So you might be wrong.
Any normally sensitive person who saw Little Ireland in Manchester, or the East End of Leeds, or the overcrowded cellars in Liverpool was likely to respond with outrage and anger.
Prove it.
Okay, select any of the industrial towns, ask any question you like, and I'll find you the evidence.
You're on.
Map to Visor.
All right. So, how about what it looked like?
Bradford selected.
Every other factory town in England is a paradise in comparison to this hole. The air of Manchester lies like lead upon your head. In Birmingham, it is as if you are sitting with your nose in a stovepipe. In Leeds, you have to cough from the dust and stink, but you can put up with all that. In Bradford, however, you think you are in hell.
All right, that looks bad, but what about the dirt?
Leeds selected.
Acres on acres of little streets, unplanned, no paving stones above, only churned up mud thoroughfares, no sewers beneath, an occasional open space used as a common cess yard, privies often ruinous, all most horribly foul, pigsties empty since their usual inmates have been turned out to prey upon the garbage of the neighborhood.
Dirty enough for you?
They're living like animals.
Select Manchester.
Selected.
A horde of ragged women and children swarm about here, as filthy as the swine that thrive upon the garbage heaps. The race that lives in these ruinous cottages or in dark, wet cellars, in measureless filth and stench, must really have plumbed the depths.
All right, you win. Plenty of evidence to show things were bad.
But we've hardly scraped the surface.
Aberdare selected.
There are whole rows of houses without any lavatories at all. The inmates have nowhere to go. They use the fields or even the streets. And what with that and the filth thrown out of the houses and left in the street, the town stinks. The courts are not fit for human habitation.
I want to see a court.
Load.
All right.
Because they were so narrow, very little sunlight could penetrate. These courts would have been teeming with people, and the houses had no kitchens or toilets, no running water.
How did they cope?
A standpipe supplied the water for the whole court, but this was only on for a few hours a day and was often polluted. There would also have been an open sewer or gutter for rubbish.
Ugh. Bring it to life.
Andrew Mearns, author, The Bitter Cry of Outcast London. Animate.
Inside, you go down rotten staircases, grope your way along dark and filthy passages swarming with vermin. 8 square feet. That's about the average size of many of these rooms. The walls and ceilings are black with filth through years of neglect. A window, half of it stuffed with rags to keep out the rain and the other half so begrimed that light cannot enter. Every room in these rotten and reeking tenements houses a family, often 2. In one cellar, I found a mother, a father, 3 children, and 4 pigs. In another, a man ill with smallpox, his wife just recovering from the birth of her 8th child, and the other children running around half naked and covered in dirt.
No one I've heard so far lived in the slums, did they?
No, and that may have affected their interpretations.
Well, I want someone who lived there.
I'm
And
afraid...
don't give me that rubbish about working class people not reading or writing. There's got to be something.
All right.
Thank you.
This is Alice Foley. She wrote her story later in life, A Bolton Childhood.
My earliest dim memories are of lots of people crowded into our only room. There was a wooden cradle, rocked by a string attached to a person nearest the window. I suppose the baby must have been cuddled against a warm bosom at odd moments, but I don't remember that. What I do remember is how poor mothers daubed their breasts with soot to discourage suckling, and the howl of rage produced at the offer of those coal-black nipples.
How did anyone survive?
Thousands didn't. Diseases thrived in these conditions. The life expectancy for a person from a laboring family in Leeds in 1842 was 19 years.
Why didn't someone do something about it?
No connection had been made between dirt and disease.
So the population went down, right?
Wrong. The death rate was high in the towns, but the birth rate was higher, so the population continued to grow.
Population of London, 1750, 657,000. 1851, 2,491,000. Population of Liverpool, 22,000, 376,000. Glasgow, 23,000, 345,000.